I just got back from a walk. I'm hot and sweaty. The weather is starting to warm up now. We're getting to the end of January, and it's definitely like yesterday. Chris and I were both laying in bed in in the main room, going, "It might be about time to start sleeping in the office again with the air conditioning." Getting up into the upper 80s. I don't think we broke 90 yet, but it's getting warm. All right, controllers up. We're gonna do the druid for a bit this morning, and then probably do my tank a little bit more. This staff looks ridiculous. I'm gonna have to fix that at some point. All right, we're supposed to do this turn in here, and then there's quests around here.
Ah, I've been expecting you.
Wings over Mount Highjaw.
We shall meet again.
You were sent here by Tiala, a wonderful student. She'll do many great things, although I sense even greater potential within you. Please stay a while in our shrine.
When's the act?
Alright. Before going to the mountain, take a moment to reflect. Take this offering of nectar to Aviana's burial circle. Perhaps her memory will help sharpen your focus.
Sun shine upon thee.
Okay. I think there's some other quests to grab around here too.
Is there danger? I can handle it. Keep your eyes on the
Wormwing
skies.
harpies.
How's it going? See you later.
And gather 8 Hyjal eggs.
May the winds support you.
Okay, I think that's all to do around here. So we're gonna mount up. And get on it. Offer the nectar. Mysterious winged spirit.
They are pulling me away.
You look like a harpy. To be born again, but in darkness. The spirit appears frantic, but falls silent as her image fades. You can't make sense of the spirit's urgent plea, but maybe Choluna can decipher what's going on here. Speak with her back at the shrine.
Hurry!
Did I get a speed buff all of a sudden? Yeah, she totally gave me a speed buff. That's cool. Shoot, did I miss the entrance? I missed the entrance. Run, little moon can run.
Well met. Farewell. Walk with
A
the
winged visage. Could it be? Amadil, there's no time to waste. You may have been speaking to Aviana herself, trying to return to us. Alright, we need to go to one of his roosts, use this call to summon him, kill him, and bring me one of his feathers.
We shall meet again.
Ooh. How do I get up there? Can I get up there from here? Or does this just go to another chamber? These areas remind me so much of like some of the housing in Lord of the Rings Online. Well, let's go up these stairs and check what's up here. We went for a walk down to the river today. Finally had our own time to ourselves, our first morning to be able to go out and do anything like that for over a week. It was refreshing. Although I am hot and sweaty. Thank God for air conditioning. It's like sitting here with it blowing right on my face. It's like, ah, it's so good. Well, screw it. I have a mount. I can fly. What am I looking for here? Ancient feather. It says go up top. Bow at Blade's Roost. Figure where that's at. Says over here. Oh, probably in one of these nests, maybe. Yep, Room of the World. Okay, yeah, this is definitely where I needed to come. Okay. Right. Gather round, fellow harpies. Let me tell you the story of a little lightning, a little bit of thunder. That might have been too many. We're about to find out. We're gonna find out here in a minute. We got this. What's up, Paula? Pale, sorry I misread that. What's up, Pale? Come on, come to daddy. What's up, Skilly? Just need 2 more, right? Yeah. Oh, it's not behind. Sorry, it's up above me. Herp-a-derp. Alright, let's get some eggs. Oh, there's another one. I'm gonna get attacked here in a minute, probably. I can't see anything because of the trees. The moon chicken? Yeah. I love the mount too I got from my moon chicken. Check this out. This gleaming moon beast mount is so cool with the moon markings and everything, and it flies with blue sparkly trails. Yay! It's pretty awesome, not gonna lie. Listen to, at least until I get dragon riding.
You scratch my back, I'll claw yours. See you later. May the winds support you.
God, that sounded like a promise. You scratch my back, I'll claw yours. Round. Extinguish the harpy signal fire to get the attention of Marion Wormwing. Fight her until Thessaly subdues her, then question
See
the
you
harpy
later.
matron.
What brings you here? Farewell. Winds be at your back.
Not an upgrade. If Aviana is truly resurrected, then perhaps your actions have enabled Blade to summon comes back as well. Let's see if we can contact our long-lost guardian. Erndale, I will report this to Omron. It's a vision of what? An egg? This is the one. The ancient will be ours. Vision of Sethria in front of an Aviana egg. Take the others to the Firelands hatchery. Soon we will possess the skies. Insert cackle. Okay. Interesting. Oh, there's multiple places where I can do this. Harpies communicate across the ridge using signal fires. Extinguish one of them. Okay, so there's multiple signal fires. Oh, I see one of them right there. Here comes Thessaly to help out. Okay. Soften her up. Oh! We literally just sock her in the mouth. Why are you stealing eggs? She asked for eggs. Eggs for her fiery hatchery in another realm. And one egg, a special egg. She sought more than any other. Who are you giving the eggs to? She of the skies, but also the darkness. Brood of the earth water, invincible. The answer to a black dragon? Give me a name. Foolish night elf, there is a new order. Aviana is dead. Alright, so you were too late. Order Thessaly to kill the harpy. Yeah, we went that route.
How's it going?
It's better than the one I'm wearing.
Keep your eyes on the skies.
Says I've got something up top, I see.
My eyes are sharp.
The dragon Sethria must be stopped. We know that her roost is south of here, along the southern cliffs of Hyjal. I report to Thessaly at the entrance to the roost.
If we fall together.
Oh, that's way down there. Okay. Let's do the fact-finding mission next. That'll just send us further south, I guess. I have two options here. Yeah, let's go ahead and do this one next. Might as well. It doesn't really matter. Either way, we're flying. Going a bit. Excuse me. Oh, it's up? Why does it say up? That's weird. Unless that's just where the locator beacon is showing because of the collider. Yeah, see, now it's down. That was definitely weird. Excuse me.
You scratch my back, I'll claw yours.
Best facts are it says facts are best found on corpses. Let's do some
May the
damage.
winds support you.
Start by
Keep your
slaughtering the
eyes on the
dragonkin
skies. See you later.
and gather
May
armor
the winds
plates.
support you.
I'll be right back. All right. Time to take care of some dragonkin. Ugh. Mass has got me working. Morning, sugar. Good morning, good morning. I can't do anything with the juggernaut yet. Alright. Collecting that. Armor plates that I need. What is that? That's like a book or something? The Codex of Shadows. Uh-oh. You suspect the dragon Cethria is trying to keep something hidden. Thessaly will want to hear about this. It seems like everywhere you go, there's problems with dragons. Dragons can't be trusted. Alright, we need a few more of each of these. There's one over here. Oh, there's two down in here. Didn't see those before. Oh, that one already respawned. Very nice. Just need 3 more minions. One mo. How do I get these guys? They don't want to. They're immune, and I don't know how to get them out. Must be something related to the quest. Well, I need one more. Where am I gonna find one more? Up top? Looks that way. Oops. What's up, Marlena? What is up? Let's go turn this in. I don't know why that mass has got me working. South Park clip is going through my head right now. I probably saw it on TikTok this morning.
See you later.
Alright, so we've done that. We've done this.
May the winds support you.
We've done that. Now we need to use the Shiv and awaken 3 of the Juggernauts. They can be used multiple times. Yeah, so this was the quest. That's what I thought. Codex of Shadows.
Support you. Keep your eyes on the sky.
Search around the camp for shadow cloak generators and shut them down until we find the egg.
See you later.
Okay. So this will wake up those big boys. I wonder if I can avoid any of these guys. Probably. If I hurry, I bet I can go all the way to the back and get these guys before the respawn ever happens. Oh, something came out of that. I just dinged. Nice. Alright, it says I can use these multiple times. How long does it last? Oh, I forgot these stupid things. Did I shut that one down over there? I don't think I did. I think I have to go back to it. I just realized that it didn't actually shut it down the first time I clicked on it. Because it spawned a demon creature. Still didn't do it. What is the point of this? I may be missing. I'm misunderstanding something. Disable the shadow cloak generators until you reveal the egg. Okay, so I can't actually do anything with that one anymore. So I guess I've clicked it enough times. So I'm thinking that's it. You can only do twice on each one. That's 2. Gonna work. Yeah, it's been pretty fun so far. It's a nice change of pace. Should I use this right here? Is that what that is? I may have to read this up because I'm not quite understanding what we're supposed to do. nothing there. It made the noise again. So I guess you click it once and then it unveils stuff? Maybe? I'm not sure how this is supposed to work. Yeah, I'm gonna go read up on this quest really quick just to understand this a little better. I guess maybe you're supposed to click on all these near eggs and it will suddenly, and maybe at some point it'll reveal. Is that it right there? Like the blue? No. Like, I'm not quite sure. Well, that time I got dismounted. Oh, hello. You got a Demon Hunter main? Nice. Yeah, calling down to the Starfire is pretty freaking awesome. Let me go look this quest up, because I'm not quite understanding what I'm supposed to be doing. This is called Egg Hunt. It says there are no right or wrong cloak things. It says the egg does not pop every time. You have to keep trying until it does. But I haven't seen, like... Oh, hang on. Somebody just wrote something that sounds very interesting if that's actually the case. Let me check this. Aha! See, there's an egg this time. So it didn't show me that the first few times. Oh. Well, do I pull mobs or just wait? Alright, makes sense. Alright, at least I got that figured out. It was funny, got back from a walk today and Chris is like, I'm not doing anything today. She worked really hard just today, doing all the chicken coop stuff, like out in the sun all day long. It's like, today's an inside day. It's getting hot. I'm just gonna relax, like go for it. We got one more thing we want to finish up for the patio, but we're doing that on our own. We're not getting any contractors for the next part. Put some brick pillars up. But I'll do that.
You scratch my back, I'll claw yours.
Promises, promises.
Keep your eyes on the skies.
Oh yeah, that's a nice, much better trinket.
May the winds support you.
I'll happily take the chest guard.
Keep your eyes on the sky.
Hopefully it looks good.
May the winds support you.
Ooh, it actually does look decent, and it matches my current set, which is not the best set in the world. I need to get rid of the helmet, but it's what I picked up the other day.
Is there danger? I can handle it.
Slay the
See you
dragon.
later.
Woo! The waypoints are all messed up in this zone. Uh-oh, server shut down in 15 minutes. What is today? I didn't realize there was a server shutdown. Well, this will be a short stream this morning then. Oh, I have to wait till she reveals her dragon form. Okay, I see. Yeah, I just saw that, Shock. That's not anticipated downtime of... I wasn't aware that there was a patch. But I don't stay glued to their news, so...
When I am done with you, I will burn shrine to the ground. You buy time, but not your lives. My hatchery remains.
It's all good. I got a conversation topic I want to record, so we'll pivot over to that here in a few minutes. We'll go do our turn in though.
How's it going? Keep your eyes on the sky.
All right.
May the winds support you.
Return to Choluna. Afternoon, Zerker. That was a nice little quest chain. Took about an hour to get all those done. Not too bad.
Peace, friend.
Return to the
Walk
shrine.
with the Earth Mother.
Truly are a herald of the ancients.
Winds be active.
Take this incense and burn it before the egg in the room just above me.
Walk with the Earth Mother.
This room, okay. Woo, bird lady.
Those who harm my children will pay.
What is the difference between these? None, okay. Intellect, stamina. I think I want the staff. Cool. Well now, oh, there's another quest that just opened up here.
What brings you here?
Choluna spoke true. The goddess has returned. Alright. You have not located all the eggs, so we need to take care of the eggs. Well, that'll be something we do next time, because, we got server shutdown happening. However, we're going to roll over into a conversation video here. There's a topic I wanted to talk about, which I was looking at last night. Let me get it prepped over here. Where is this at? I had it pulled up and saved for the other day. Ah, here it is. And we're gonna pause. And we're gonna bring this over. Coming in the summer, Mass has got me working. Alright, we're gonna switch over here really quick. I think this is the right video. I think this is the one I wanted to talk about. Let's make sure that we're closed down over here. Since we can't do any more World of Warcraft.
Also, I saw this. I thought this was kind of cool. I wanted to kind of share it.
I don't know why this isn't spinning up. Hang on a second here.
So Jinxie, he's
Here we
like,
go.
also, I saw this.
So I previously, just as an FYI, I previously had watched bits and pieces of this video. And I was like, you know what? I actually want to sit down and talk about this because there's a lot of good insight in here for people who are interested in streaming. And I think that I don't think it's a yikes statement at all, Berserker. I thought it was a very insightful video into streaming and streaming culture. And and it's one of the reasons I don't stream full time. I definitely am a part-time streamer. I make my money from content creation. So there may come a time when I pivot to streaming, but as of right now, I just treat it very. It's like I do it when I have time. I try to shoot for 8 o'clock in the morning. Most mornings I make that. Some mornings I don't. I do not have a set like I must sit down and stream because I don't necessarily make my money off of streaming like these guys do. What's very interesting though, in the course of my journey, there have been many people I've looked at over the years, and the way they've done things. And what's interesting about Asmongold is he did not start off as a streamer. He started off as a YouTube content creator and then became a streamer. And some people view his stuff as toxic, over the top. He could be a little obnoxious from time to time, but who can't? You know, who isn't? But he has some gems occasionally. And this one was a very good discussion on. There's a lot of stuff in here, though. This is like a 30-minute video. It's a 20-minute video, but it'll probably be like a 30-minute reaction video from me just discussing this. So we're going to dive into this, and I'm going to pause and talk about things as we go through because it is a good discussion. So essentially, it starts off talking about how there's this guy who I don't follow, Jinxie. Apparently, he's gotten big now, but what they were looking at is the fact that he streamed to a single viewer for a year straight, just one viewer every day, nobody watching his streams, and yet he kept doing it. And we've talked about this. My brother and I have some good conversations sometimes. When I used to do public speaking, one of the quotes I always loved to use was one of Gary Vee's quotes, which is entrepreneurs do the things that nobody else will to live the lives that nobody else can. And I thought it was a very interesting thing to discuss, but it's a look at the grind mentality. Like if you want to have something be successful, you have to put in the hours to do it, and most people won't or can't for various reasons. It usually comes down to a won't rather than a can't. But anyway, there's some good stuff in here, so let's take a listen.
I thought this was kind of cool. I wanted to kind of share it. So Jinxie, he's like one of the most popular streamers right now. And everybody always likes to talk about how, oh, well, the people that are popular are just popular because they got lucky. And look at this. In September of 2019, he streamed to one viewer 29 times.
All right, so think about that for a minute. This is the part where you got to understand, like, there is this mythology sometimes when people look at streamers who are getting 10,000, 5,000, 10,000 people tuning in live, 30,000 people live, 50,000 live, they got 1.5 million followers, and people think they got there by luck. And it's like, it's not really luck. It's dedication. There was another, it was a clip, I think it was Ninja, who I honestly can't stand most of the time. But he was talking about, there was this guy who was saying, I've been doing this for, what did he say? I think he said he'd been doing it for 5 years, and he only had 350 followers after 5 years. And everyone is questioning, how is that even possible? Because if you're doing your job right, if you're streaming every single day and you're making clips out of those streams and putting those out on YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels and TikTok accounts, and you're streaming every single day for 2 to 3 hours, 4 hours if you can, and you're making videos around that, if you're really trying, if you're truly trying to make it as a content creator or streamer, and you've only got 350 followers after like 3 years, it's a you problem. That's not a problem with the industry. That's because something about your content sucks. Either you're not a good presenter, or you're not entertaining, your setup doesn't work right. There's something wrong. You're not doing your content creation, you're only streaming, you're not doing clips and all this other stuff. Like, you can see the people who, when they put in the work, you can be successful in these industries. You might not get 1.5 million followers. I'm a good example of this. I don't have 1.5 million followers. I've been doing this in February. Here in about 2 weeks, we will be coming up on the start of my 3rd year. So this will be the end of my 2nd year of full-time content creation in mid-February, early mid-February, right? I don't have 1.5 million followers, but I do make a full-time living on YouTube. And now with Twitch is bringing in some income now. In a perfect world, TikTok will get monetized in the next year. Probably not till the end of the year, but that'll be another nice addition. Like, just shit grows as long as you're actively working on it. But you have to be willing to do this. You have to be willing to go live 29 times in a row minimum with one person watching. That's like, it might be your other phone, right? It might be your phone. It might be your significant other. It might be your mom. It doesn't matter. It's being willing to put up with this for a year straight and say it doesn't matter if I only have one person watching. I'm doing it for me, and eventually the numbers will come. Anyway, it's a good discussion. Let's keep on.
Now he's one of the top subscribed people on Twitch. Isn't that nuts? To himself. Yep, he keeps grinding anyway. He kept grinding anyway, and that's what happens. He's entertaining. Yeah, he was. Absolutely. But I figured I'd show you guys that because there's a lot of people that don't really ever respect the grind. They don't ever respect the amount of effort and time that you have to put into something in order to make it successful. They just see the end result, and they're mad because it's not them. That's it.
Jealousy is a fickle
streams,
mistress, man.
Are a straight year. Well, no, 29 streams in September of 2019. You have to just read it, right? That's it. How long did it take you? With my videos and everything.
This is interesting.
How long did it take me to get popular? Well, like if you're talking about on, he streamed to one viewer for a year straight. Oh, okay, yeah, for a year straight. Yeah. It just only shows September, so that's what I was talking about. In my first year of streaming, I think that I either got to, was it 20,000 subscribers or 10,000? And that was doing YouTube videos. Or sorry, that was just making WoW YouTube videos. And then streaming, honestly, well, like whenever I started streaming, my YouTube channel was already pretty popular. And so the first stream that I ever did, I had like 250 viewers. And
So that's pretty impressive to be able to pull in those kind of numbers. But I would say that because I've done, I think the biggest numbers I've pulled on a stream was when Baldur's Gate 3 was popping off and we were getting like 150. I think my biggest stream ever was like 180 people watching a stream. That is not an average view for me. The average day, depends on what game I play, but the average, I've got a good core audience of like 15 to 30 people that will tune in pretty much every single morning across YouTube and Twitch. 15 to 30 people. And it's been pretty steady for, I would say, about a year. The numbers fluctuate a little bit, and it has grown very slowly. Because I can remember when I first started streaming, like when I first started going with the channel, when I got monetized, I was already I'd already been streaming for a while and I had a dedicated group of like, I don't know, 8 people, 10 people that would tune in and watch. And I had about 700 followers on the channel. And I got monetized at 1,000. So that was February of 2022. So I could go stream and, 8 people would show up. It's usually, my close friends and people I hang out with, the community members and stuff. And then over time that grew, and the channel grew to like 7,000 followers by the end of 2022. And we were starting to get, like 10 to 15, like say 15 people on an average stream. And then Baldur's Gate 3 happened, and the streams blew up big time. We came back down. The numbers slowly rise over time, and just depends on what I'm doing. If I'm playing a new, hot, popular game, I'll have 30, 40 people. But if, we're just talking the day-to-day stuff, it's it's in that bracket. So it has grown over time, but it's very interesting to see how he was talking about. He was already he says 10 to 20. He doesn't remember, but let's just say he was at 20,000 followers when he started streaming. To get 200 people to show up to your first stream, that's pretty impressive. But I would also say that when he started, and this is not an excuse, it's just something to think about. He's been around long enough now that streaming back then was not as there weren't as many people trying to do it as there is today. So there is a little bit of noise right now, but it has nothing to do with luck or timing or anything else. It's mostly just about consistency and showing up and building something that people want to watch.
Then the second stream I had 1,000. And so it did really well, really fast. And then like probably 2 or 3 months after that, we were getting like 5,000 to 9,000 viewers. And so it was a lot. Now, why did that happen? I mean,
It's interesting because I've never seen those types of numbers, and I would assume that I would need to put in a lot more time before I see those numbers. But I'm also not young, and I don't have a persona. So I know guys like Dr. Disrespect, Ninja, Asmongold, they definitely do the persona thing. So they're love them or hate them, they're super, you know, they have they do and say things on stream that I would never do just to get views. It's just a different type of mentality. I'm much more relaxed, kind of I would like to think I'm more of a normal person, and I don't have a persona that I portray. Now, the persona can bring in big numbers if you're willing to pursue it, but it also comes with its own, sort of controversy side of things.
obviously, I did a lot of YouTube videos before then. I streamed really late at night. Nobody else was on.
That's key.
And also, I thought the streams were pretty good. And so that's it. How'd you have 250 viewers in your first stream? Simple. I just made a YouTube video. I told people I was going to do a stream, and I said, tune in. That's it. Yeah, do you remember your first oh shit paycheck? I remember screenshotting my bank account balance when it was over $1,000. And then I immediately spent all the money on a new computer. Yeah, I remember that. Today you can't only do Twitch? Well, I never only did Twitch because I thought that was a mistake. How many subs did you have on YouTube whenever you started streaming again? Like 10,000. Like 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, maybe 20, like probably 10 to 20,000, somewhere around there. You also caught the rise of the streaming wave? No, I don't really think so.
This is key.
Whenever I first started streaming, a lot of the people were saying then that they wish they had started streaming in 2011 and 2012 because they felt like they missed the wave.
The waves are always
going to
happen.
A very common sentiment because there were people like Lyric and Summit and Soda Poppin' that everybody felt like was like grandfathered into, being successful, and no people felt like, oh well, we can't get there anymore. But the truth is that you can be successful. Anybody
Is that his World of
successful.
Warcraft or mine?
It doesn't matter what time you start. You just have to put in the effort and be popular.
I think that's his
Not be
World of
popular,
Warcraft.
obviously,
Mine's shut down.
Circular. Be entertaining. Would you advise people to do the same? Start making videos on YouTube, then go to Twitch? Yeah, I think that the best way to make it successful on Twitch, to be successful on Twitch, is to use other platforms to grow your Twitch, and then kind of use that as a springboard.
So this is an interesting part of the discussion because he's very successful on Twitch, but also has a very successful YouTube channel. And he's talked about in the past how he uses YouTube to drive people to the live vids on Twitch, but he conversely says he makes more money on YouTube, which is why he uses YouTube to push people, or he uses Twitch to push people to YouTube. So it's cyclical in nature. But he has been open about this in the past, talking about how he makes way more money on YouTube because the ads pay way more. Now he does get the bits and subs and everything else on Twitch, but they take half, and you've got memberships on YouTube as well. So it just depends. I don't know what his income's like these days, but it's definitely way more than mine. But I know that I've been very pleased with multi-streaming because we now have the opportunity, so we can stream in both places at the same time. But I could definitely see the benefit, and to be honest with you, if I was going to push full-time streaming, if that ever was to become the thing that I did, was to become a full-time streamer, I would probably do it on Twitch as well, just to separate the two. And the reason I say this is because Twitch has better categories for things than YouTube does. I love YouTube. I make all my money with YouTube, and they have great setups for streaming games. But as an example, we are currently in the middle of, we're at the tail end of it started off as a Warcraft stream, and then the servers went down, right? And so I pivoted into this. If I was on Twitch, I would be able to I could go into the settings for the Twitch stream and change it to like just chatting as opposed to playing this game. There's no just chatting category on YouTube. So I have no way to change what the stream is about. So if someone's coming in here to watch World of Warcraft and then they see me doing this, they're going to be confused. And so there's that issue with that, it's a category thing with YouTube. But that's fine because if you're just playing games, which is what I normally do 90% of the time, you just play that game for 2 or 3 hours and you're good to go. And I love the membership options on YouTube, and I love the way they do the super chats and everything else. You get a bigger percentage, better advertising revenue. that's why I went with YouTube years ago, and why I'm happy with YouTube. But if I were to push full-time streaming, I can see the benefit of doing it um, on Twitch because you can very easily switch gears. Like you can do 2 hours on one thing and then simply reset the name of the stream and go on to the next thing for the next 2 hours, take a break, keep doing it. Whereas on YouTube, it's not that flexible. But I don't do full-time streaming, so I don't really consider that something I'm going to be effectively using to my advantage. So I just multi-stream on both. And then if I have a day when the internet's bad, I'll just use the recording of the video to do the YouTube version. But if the internet was good for the day, I'll just clip it out as a highlight on Twitch and then export it out to my YouTube channel, which makes my content creation a little bit easier when I'm doing like the Let's Play sessions because I can just very quickly segment them up and push them to YouTube. And then I could take those and break those down into YouTube shorts and TikTok videos. And if I wanted to, Twitch even has, if you really want to get into it, Twitch actually has a built-in portrait mode feature that you can use to cut out portrait modes so that you can have TikTok videos and YouTube shorts cut out down right within the Twitch on the dashboard. You can do all that from within Twitch. So Twitch has got some pretty good tools for getting your content out there to other places as quickly and easily. So I can see the bonus with Twitch. The issue with me is that I'm coming into Twitch. I just started multi-streaming in October of 2023, so it's not anywhere near as valuable to me as YouTube in terms of an income stream because it just doesn't, it makes pennies compared to what YouTube pays me. And I would not be able to pay my bills if I tried to just do full-time streaming on Twitch. Like content creation is still my jam because that's what keeps the bills paid. And the memberships on YouTube and the subscriptions and stuff on Twitch help out. It's all, those of you who are a part of my YouTube channel already know this because I do the income reports and the analytics videos for members. But it's just there's a real talk time because it's a very interesting discussion about how he does it versus how I do it versus how other people do it as well.
That's what I would say. And be entertaining, get 10 million tips. Well, I mean, hopefully, right? Survivorship bias. Well, everybody always says survivorship bias. You're right. But who do you want to take advice from? You want to take advice from somebody who survived or somebody who didn't? Like, think about it like that. A lot of times people see like the last, going from 8 to 10, but they don't see going from 1 to 7. And so
That's
it's
a very
always
good point
to see that, people that, like Jinxie, for example, he just started streaming randomly and, streamed consistently every day. And you grind for long enough and you're entertaining and people like what you're doing. And it'll work. It's that simple. Did you ever collab with you for a month? I would like my character.
So he just made a comment. He says it's just that simple. Ninja made the same comment the other day on you have, but there also has to be, you have to be putting in the time. You have to be putting in the grind. So my previous occupation, for those who might be tuning in for the first time, I worked in marketing for many years. I did brand building. So I helped people build their brands. That's all I did for about 15 years. Consultations, public speaking, all that stuff within the travel space. And the one constant that is true across any brand that you start, generally speaking, within the first 3 years, that brand can become sustainable for the owner within about 3 years. But it does take about 3 years as a general rule to take something from zero to something. Like it's going to take a 3-year grind. So you have to be willing to either A, live off your savings for 3 years, or B, have some sort of a side hustle while you're also hustling and grinding on what you want to be your main job to make that happen. But it does usually starts to get around the 3-year mark. Now, most of the big dudes in streaming that I've seen pop off usually happens somewhere between year 5 and 7 is when they go from having 50 to 100,000 to suddenly it blows up and they get 1 million followers. And then they start pulling in 15, 20,000 people on live streams and stuff. His sounded like an exception where he said he started off with 250 the first time, 1,000 the next time, and then within the first few months up into the 5 to 10,000 range. That's astronomical. I don't know what year he actually started, to be honest with you, so I'd have to go back and look at the time frame. But if you build it, they will come mentality is out there for pretty much every brand you do. If you build it, they will come, but it can take a few years. So you have to be willing to do that. I think I was reading the other day that like with Coke Carnage, it was 7 years to get partner on Twitch. I mean, that's a long time to be grinding. You know, you got to be willing to put in the
Character
time.
at 20K followers in a month, but yeah, you have to grind all platforms. If I would collab with you for a month and people would like my character, I'd have 20K followers in less than a month.
No,
This is always a massive delusion that people that don't understand how content works have. They think that if somebody else hosts them or brings them on their stream, that somehow this is what they need in order to be successful. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. It doesn't.
I cannot tell you how many times I have seen this as well. So people have asked me why I don't do collabs. This is why I don't do collabs. I don't collab with people. Just not going to do it. If you have already made it and you can show me that you've already made it and you want to do a collaboration, absolutely. But if you're still, in the grunt phase, I get so many pitches every single month for people wanting to do collabs, wanting me to market their product for them. Here's our free game. Fuck off. I don't want your free game. I don't need it. I don't need coverage of some shitty little early access title. It's like, no, I don't need that for my channel. It's like I'm not a starving artist. And the idea of people who just want to do collabs because they think that if they buddy up to somebody who's got big numbers that they're going to instantly somehow suddenly make it. It's like, no, you don't get to skip the line. Like you need to put in the time. And if you have proven that you've put in the time and want to do a collab, then that's something we can talk about. But yeah, I don't do collabs on my channel for that reason. I'm not going to waste my time on people who haven't even lifted a finger to make the effort for themselves yet. I spent a lot of years helping build brands for a living, and when I started this channel, the agreement that Chris and I made was there's no more other people. It's me, myself, and I. It's just call it selfish if you want, but I helped build a lot of brands over the years, worked with a lot of cool companies. But when it comes to the things I'm building for myself, I mean, I'm working on my pension right now, my future. Like I ain't got time for you know, to be frankly, I don't have time for losers would be the blunt way to put it. There are way too many people who think that just because they have a camera and they play a video game that they can make it. And it's like, I don't think you realize the amount of hours that we spend doing video editing, doing all the cutting, all the management of all the social media channels for, Twitch and TikTok and YouTube Shorts and planning and research and development and figuring out what we're going to play, what the trend is. Should I go with the trend? Should I buy this new game? Should I not buy this new game? Is this on brand? Is this off brand? Should I do this? Is it going to mess up the algorithm? What about this? Should I say this? Do this? Like there's all these things that factor into when you are the brand. I'm not willing to risk that for somebody who's just trying to come in and not have to do anything. It's like in the same thing in the comedy circuit. Like you don't get to become a headliner until you've put in the time as a supporting act on a bunch of other comedian tours. Like no, you don't get the headline. You're some dude off on the stage. You get a 10-minute slot, and that's all you're gonna get. You do that for 3 or 4 years. If you can make it past that point, then sure, you can start to headline and do bigger projects. But I don't do collabs, man. It's not worth my time. Totally not worth my time.
Doesn't matter if you're not entertaining. And that's just the way it is. Lazy, shitty streamers. Well, it's also people just like they see it from that perspective because they don't really understand it. He was massively, DM is a great example. He was massively grinding before he watched his video. Yeah, Darth microtransaction is a great example. Like I remember watching his videos and he was established even in Diablo Immortal. What happened to Jacksepticeye, but he was also already entertaining. There are people that gain a popularity by streaming and making content with other people. But I think that somebody like Jacksepticeye would have been popular regardless. This just made it happen faster. Nothing will matter if the person isn't entertaining. And if people don't like watching their content, that's all that is the beginning and the end. I think some people don't understand that being genuine goes a long way. Being genuine is such a bad idea. Don't be genuine.
This is where he and I differ greatly. Don't be genuine. So these guys definitely are from the personality camp. They definitely want to have a persona. I have liked, and I accept that my growth will be slower because I don't have a persona and because I am more genuine than many other people might be. It does result in lower numbers because I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm not trying to get on the bandwagon of certain trends and memes. But it's fine. I get it. It means I'm relaxed. I go back to this every once in a while when we're doing the videos talking about analytics. The best part about not being a starving artist is you don't have to do the things that are outside of your comfort zone. So you just do what you are comfortable with and make it work. You do have to be entertaining, but you don't have to compromise your values, if that makes sense.
If your genuine self is boring and unlikable, then don't be genuine.
So this is okay. That's fair.
Don't do that.
That's fair.
Be entertaining.
That's a fair point. If you, that is fair. Like people don't watch boring content creators or boring streamers. You do need to be entertaining. I've watched people who they'll just sit there and they're in silence for 45 minutes. I'm as guilty of this though as the next person. If I'm really into a game and I'm like doing fight sequences and stuff and I'm really into it, I might not speak for 5 minutes because but I've consciously trained myself too to always be talking. Because it's just you have to have the running dialogue, even if there's nobody watching, because that way when people come back and watch the replay. Like if I go record an offline Let's Play video, I still talk to the camera like I'm doing a live stream, because when someone watches that, they want to be entertained. So that is a valid point. Although I think the way he said it, I would have worded it differently. Like I don't think it has anything to do with being genuine. It's just like if your normal self it doesn't know how to talk to people, you're gonna have to figure that one out. Like that's a if you're gonna be on camera, you have to be comfortable being in front of people and talking and having a running dialogue and being entertaining because that's what people are tuning in for.
Be likable. Be yourself unless yourself sucks. Then be somebody else. That's right. Do you consider yourself likable? And also dislikable.
Yes, that's key. Likable and
Irritated
dislikable.
with the fact that other people that you know say it. And that's what irritates you, and then you bring it up to me. Don't.
So this chick, I watched this before. So essentially, she's going on a rant because people were bitching that she's not streaming enough. There's another female streamer. I can't remember the name of her right now. She was a blonde girl. She would have her dad on a lot. I would always see her in my TikTok feed, but I didn't actively follow her streams or anything else. I guess she made an announcement like last summer, last fall or something that she was just having a mental breakdown issue because of all the demands of the people and just basically went completely offline. And she made some posts in the start of the new year that she's working her way back, and we'll see. I've not had any abusive people, thankfully, but I don't have the numbers that these people have. And I know that when I've watched certain streamers, they get some really nasty crap coming through chat. And it's just like, I would say that you would try to ignore it, but also it's impossible to ignore it completely. And unless you've got a thick skin, like, I come at this from the angle of saying I was in game development for like a decade, and as the CEO of an MMORPG company for 7 years, I got so much shit thrown at me because people always hate the person in charge. You just deal with it. It's like when you are in a position of authority, there are always going to be haters, and you just got to roll with it. Like if you can't handle the heat, stay out of the kitchen kind of argument. So I also find it somewhat disingenuous when I hear someone who's making $15,000-$20,000 a month or more from streaming complain about, oh, the pressure, oh, my mental health. It's like, yeah, let's take it down a notch. That's legitimately a thing that people can be pressuring you too much, but also when you're in that privileged of a position to be making that kind of money from people who are tuning in and giving you advertising revenue and bits and subs and cheers and super chats and all this other stuff, you kind of lose the right to complain, which is why you will never hear me complain about needing a mental health day. I might need to take a day off because I'm under the weather, or coughing or something, or I have a sore throat, but I will never be taking a day off. And Asmund speaks to this here in a little bit. There's a part where he's going to show a graph of the numbers, and this is why I've always been very transparent with people in our YouTube channel. In the members area, we do the analytics videos because it's very important to show that just the grind, and you can always see there's always net growth. It's always on the up, and it stays on the up even when there's dips because of the fact that you're constantly doing the grind, and so you can't afford to let up off the gas if this is your dream.
So
Anyway,
you're not irritated with it. Whether you say it or someone else does. When I first started streaming, I grinded like crazy. I was at home and that's all I did. And I'm glad I did because I needed to grind out the hours, but I'm finally in a spot with my streaming career where I can let up a little bit. And I'm tired.
This is always a mistake. You never let up. If you want to let up, then don't be surprised when other people let up.
so this is also
Like,
I'm gonna mute him for a minute. It's also the thing when you let up, don't be surprised when the people start attacking you for not streaming more, because you became that dopamine drip feed that people wanted 24/7, and suddenly you went from streaming 12 hours a day to not. You know, it's like I said, it's kind of you lose the right to complain about people complaining because it's like it's just one of those things. Like either ignore it or figure it out.
let me show you guys.
This is the graph, yeah.
Never stop going big dick. We'll look at the at this channel and also my alt channel.
So what you really want to look at here is the green bar. So going back to 2017, looks like is when he started Twitch, growing from 2017 up to where he is now. And this looks like these are stats from up to July of 2023. So, looking like going from average viewers. He does hours streamed and stuff too, but just starting back in here and just never stopping. And so you see the graph. If you're doing it right, the graph is always going to be up every month. But you'll notice there's dips. The green goes down, the red goes down. There are dips, but that doesn't matter. What matters is net growth. That's the most important thing.
I never stopped. Until I stopped streaming on this account.
Oh, that's
I was
why
putting in the
that's
same
why it
hours,
ends.
More hours whenever I was successful. 2022, the last time that I streamed very regularly, look at that, 200 hours streamed, 145 hours streamed, 193, 209, 178. You go all...
Think about that for a minute. Like 200 hours a month of streaming. I'm gonna do some math real quick because I can't do math in my head. I wanna take a look at that. If you did 200 hours a week, 200 hours. Those are per month, right? Yeah, that's a monthly. So divide that by 30. You're averaging 6.5 hours a day of streaming. The reality is, I think he takes days off here and there. So the stream hours are probably higher than that. I think he usually does like 8 hours if I'm not mistaken, but he has days when he doesn't stream anything. But let's just say for the sake of argument, he's averaging 6.5 hours a day of streaming, on top of which there's the content creation, there's the management of the video editors and everything else. So you got to look at this as this is part of his job. So if this is a third to half, these are 12 to 14 hour work days. So that's all you're doing is grinding.
All the way back to 2019, 154, 227. That was classic WoW. 93. This is all the way back in 2027. And now, look at now.
Just gonna switch over to his other account now. Same thing.
Still putting in the same 100.
But it's the same thing. Like you'd see, it started off down there and it grew from nothing. Looks like it started in somewhere late 2020.
94, 213, 208. You look at the videos, YouTube videos, the exact same thing. Like I'm uploading more, doing more stuff. You never stop. You never stop grinding.
So this is a very interesting discussion I had with people about, I think at the end of last year, we were doing our end of 2023 analytics report. Since I started full time on my channel on YouTube in as the beginning of 2022, all of 2022, all of 2023, 5 to 7 videos per day minimum, 5 to 7 a day minimum, and then also streaming on top of that for at least 2 to 3 hours every single day. Now, I don't do 6 hour streams, but I do try to stream every single day. And there are some days when we were getting to the end of last year, I was doing 2 streams a day. I was doing a couple hours in the morning and like 4 hours at night, and I was increasing up to about 6 hours a day of streaming. That was burning the candle at both ends. Was a little too much for me. It was a fun experiment. Got good traffic numbers out of it. But by the holidays, I was ready to just wrap that up and just go back to doing 1 stream a day. Occasionally I'll do a couple, but for the most part, I try to only do 2 streams a day. Excuse me, 1 stream a day for 2 hours is what I'm trying to get at. I don't prioritize streaming because it's not a financially big thing for me. If I was making more money streaming, I would definitely stream more often. But the important thing here is the grind mentality. Like, I just grind content creation. As a result, when we look at my graphs on YouTube, it's like this. Just the advertising revenue has gone up consistently over time because I produce more videos, more people come to the channel. I think we're almost up to 25,000 followers, which we just celebrated 20,000 followers, a few months ago. So the channel is going, and our next goal is 100,000 followers. I want 100,000 followers. I want my check mark. I want my plaque. That's the big thing with YouTube. And it's just time. It's just time and effort. You just never stop grinding. So unless I'm sick, I'm here every single day doing the work.
And if you stop grinding, because there are people that do, and they don't stream as much anymore. And you know what? They're probably not as popular. And you know what? That's probably okay with them.
Yes.
Because they have now moved on to other things in their life.
Yes.
And they have a different focus in their life than being successful as a streamer.
Okay. Good time to stop. So I had somebody attempt to mock me a couple months back because of our homestead that we have in Mexico. It's a very small plot of land, but I was like, I don't think you understand what you're mocking, because people are mistaking big numbers during streams and are you popular as a streamer with whether or not I am successful. And it's like, that's a bad mistake. So what he's saying here is some people are comfortable not being very popular streamers. I'm in that category. I've always said that I would definitely stream more, and I will continue to stream. If the numbers ever do pivot to where streaming becomes more profitable, then I would absolutely dedicate more time into streaming. But I have other priorities here. We have the homestead. There's lots of stuff going on here, constantly upgrading this property. And our big objective is, getting the next piece of property purchased so that we have our retirement set up. So for me, YouTube is just a tool to that end. And I like to play video games. So anything I can do to take video games and my passion for things like Star Wars, Star Trek, Star Wars, I already said Star Wars, but all things nerd and science fiction, if I could take that stuff and turn that into income generating projects for myself, I'm going to do that. And it doesn't matter whether or not I'm popular as a streamer, because I get to do what I like. And I was having this discussion with a friend of mine recently, who's got a very successful business. They make a mid 6-figure income. They were trying to expand their business, and the bank was like, well, you got to do this, that, and the other. And it's like, it's crazy to think that, even when you're making 6 figures in the current market, like that's not enough. And you've got to look at all this other stuff that the bank wants you to do, and it's all related on credit and tied into the system and social security numbers and balancing car loans with car payments and house loans and all these costs. And I'm like, I just play fucking video games. Like, I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And so if you can strip all that stuff away and just focus on the things you love, yeah, it's not hard. It's just grind. And be happy with where you're at.
That doesn't mean that they didn't fall off. They got off.
They got off the train.
of every day getting on stream
willingly got off.
and I'm tired of every day getting on stream and people like nagging on me about it. And it's not enough, or I'm not playing with the
I'm
right
back.
people at the right times or
I
anything.
switched my laundry
Yep.
over.
Nice.
That's right.
It's hard.
The chat's like womp
You guys
womp.
look up to me.
Why
There's
is she
people
crying?
that depend on me, and I just like.
You gotta depend on yourself. What do you think about other people for? You gotta depend on yourself. I know it's hard. It is hard. It's hard to stream every day. It is. It's hard to put yourself in a camera all the time. I tried to get on by 9, but I was so tired. Yeah, there have been a lot of times streamers have to stream 4 hours a week. Yeah, and this is also another problem. Is like you're never gonna convince somebody that streaming is a hard job. Now, like, I'll tell you this. I totally understand how this girl feels. Absolutely. I've streamed for a long time. It is fucking hard. It's extremely emotionally demanding. It is draining. There are a lot of things with streaming that absolutely fucks you. There are problems that it has.
This is one of the reasons I don't. I did a couple times my first year. I tried to do some of those big 12-hour marathon streams, and I quickly said, "Fuck that." I'm not built for marathon streams. I don't. It is so emotionally draining to be sitting there for 12 hours and be like, especially when you've only got like 6 viewers and you're just getting started and you're not making any money doing it. It's a lot easier when you've got 10,000 people and you're generating $5,000 a day in revenue. That's a lot easier to smile through. But when you're down at like the very beginning and you've got 6 to 8 people watching your stream and you're trying to do a 12-hour marathon, and it's just like, it's fucking brutal. Like, people don't realize how hard it is to be entertaining for a 12-hour window of time when there's nobody super chatting, no one's subbing, no one's liking, no one's following, no one's doing bits or cheers, and they're just silence. You know, they're watching but they're not saying anything. Like, people don't think that that has some sort of an emotional toll. And for all of those out there who are like, oh, poor you, it's emotional damage. Dude, I grew up on a dairy farm, cattle ranch. I worked construction for a huge chunk of my life as a third generation contractor. Believe me, I have put in my fucking time in physical labor in areas where, you know, I kind of will joke a little bit about the mental health, you know, thing, but at the same time, it is an emotionally draining thing to try to be live for all those hours a day, which is why I don't fucking do it. I usually do 2 hours. If things are going good, then I might do 3 or 4, but generally it's about 2 hours. What keeps me going is the same thing that keeps everybody else going. If the audience is there tuning in, chatting, having fun, then we'll go longer. If people are super chatting, donating, subbing, bits, cheering, you know, supporting financially, we will continue longer. But if it's just to do the hours and do the grind, I just do the 2 to 3 hours and then I'm out and I'm off doing more video, you know, stuff, because there's more important things to do with my day than take emotional damage.
That are like, when do you ever deal with this problem? Like, you're getting, like, people are trying to find out where you live, SWAT you, like all kinds of weird fucking shit.
This is why I don't have an Amazon wish list or allow people to mail me things. I have so many people who are like, hey, can I get your mailing address? I'd love to send you this. And it's like, thanks, but no thanks. I'm not giving my address out to nobody other than family members, because there are too many whacked out sicko fuck jobs out there who will SWAT your house, show up at your house, send you crazy things in the mail. There is no way I'm putting myself out there for that kind of mayhem. No, sir. Nope.
Try to, like, you know, penetrate into your personal life. These are things that you don't have at a normal job. Like, it's not. Try working customer service. Yeah, no, I'm not. Listen, guys.
By the way, this also ties into Richard Dean Anderson, who was famous for MacGyver and Star Trek SG-1. He was doing an interview recently with Brad Wright from Stargate. They were doing a reminiscing thing, and he was talking about how his daughter, this is just to show this conversation in the context if it happens everywhere where money is involved. Thanks for the subscription on Prime, Lucifer. I appreciate that. Richard Dean Anderson was talking about how his daughter just directed her first short film, and it's connected with some of the people that Richard Dean Anderson has worked with in Hollywood over the years. And he said all of a sudden, her schoolmates find out, like her school finds out that she directed this short film in Hollywood, following in her father's footsteps. And all of a sudden, he said, all of these people came out of the woodwork who's, she hadn't talked to them for 2-3 years or more. And suddenly it's like, hey, remember me? I'm so and so from grade school, or I'm so and so from junior high, or I'm so and so from your freshman class. And he's like, all these people are coming out of the woodwork trying to find a way to penetrate her circle of trust, because guess what? Now she's becoming, a named figure in Hollywood, and she's possibly going to have a career as a director. And so everyone's like, well, can I be in your next short film? Can I do this? What can I, I'd love to, can I do this for you? Can I be this for you? And it's like everyone's wanting to penetrate that cell and ride the coattails. And it's like, no, like you got to protect yourself. And Richard Dean Anderson gave a very good interview about how he's trying to, help his daughter understand that it's one of the the downsides to being famous and working in these environments, whether it be streaming or Hollywood. You do trade financial security for a lack of privacy, and or just you can't trust anybody because everyone's trying to penetrate your defenses for the wrong reasons. The thing with gaming is the swatting of houses is something that gets people offed, and it's a horrible thing, but yet there are people out there who will do it. It doesn't matter to them because they're just trolls, and that's the crappy part about video game nerds.
I'm not saying that streaming is the only hard job. I never what the fuck did I ever go and say that streaming was the hardest job? I just said that there are elements of it that are hard. Abso-fucking-lutely. That's true, really. Now you're wrong. How am I wrong if I know it? What do you mean? How can I possibly be wrong about this? Which is fair. Yeah, and like, it is a mental battle. Yeah, it is very emotionally draining. It definitely can be.
It is creepy times for sure, Noel.
This thing, but here's the truth, though.
Neil, sorry. I can't read the text from this distance.
Somebody who works at a job that they hate, that you who plays video games all day has a problem that they should care about. They're not going to give a fuck about it because they can't see your perspective. And it doesn't mean that your perspective is wrong. Like, I think that they're the ones that are wrong because they lack empathy. But that doesn't mean that just because somebody is wrong doesn't mean that they're going to change their behavior. It just means that they're wrong. Why don't you take subs anymore? Do you not want money? I'd take subs if I want to. It's not a big deal, man. And if streaming wasn't hard, everyone would do it.
So he's not, that's the thing, he's not taking subs on Twitch. So that was something I didn't realize. I'm glad he just said that, because earlier I was talking about who knows how much money he's bringing in from subs and stuff. So he's just making money from advertising revenue at this point. And all of a sudden, all of his sponsorships and everything else, but not taking subs. It's good to know.
Well, yeah, they're not going to see the perspective. If it's draining, you likely aren't an extrovert. Well, I mean, if you are an extrovert, then there's other problems that are there. What about getting pigeonholed into streaming a single game? There's always going to be problems with every job.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. So, like, being a genuine entertainer at all is not easy? No, of course it's not. It's not easy. But you just can't ever complain to your audience about how streaming is hard.
Thank you.
Like,
you don't complain. Like, it's that's why I said, when someone's on stream, when they're making $15,000 or whatever a month, and they're talking about how, you don't ever tell that to people. Like, that's, you might tell your significant other, but you don't tell your audience that stuff. Like, QQ, you're making $15,000, $25,000 a month, and you're crying about how, it's just so draining. It might be draining, but you don't come out and just like tell people all that. Like,
that's really what it is. Ko mentioned that he finds it fortunate that he started streaming later in life, and he's had a stable emotional and personal foundation already that can be shaken by full-time streaming. It can.
Ooh. I've not heard Ko Carnage say that, but I'm gonna say this as just reacting to that. So I didn't get into streaming until later in life either. I was in the public eye. I bought a camcorder in 2009. I think my very first YouTube videos were 2010, when I was doing the expat guidebook and all the location independent digital nomad stuff that I was doing for, when I was just getting going in that. So I had a YouTube channel all the way back then related to something else. I was already familiar with putting myself on camera, but I didn't start doing that until I was I was already 30-ish, and then I didn't start doing this Like streaming my own games and stuff, I didn't really start doing until I was already 40. I was helping other brands. I had the MMO channel. We were definitely doing dev diaries and stuff, but I didn't start like doing content creation and streaming until I was in my 40s. And I'd already been through life. I mean, I've already built multiple businesses. I've already traveled the world. I've pretty much done all the things that I wanted to do on my bucket list. I'm not a millionaire, but I am successful enough that I have done all the things that I wanted to do. I mean, there's very few things. Chris would like to go to the pyramids, and she wants to go to Japan. Like, those are two things that she wants to do that we still haven't done yet. So at some point, we'll probably do those things. The only thing I have left on my bucket list is get the property in the mountains purchased, and then I'm done. I published books. I got to write for a living. I got to be a public speaker for a living. I got to travel the world for a living. I got to do all the things that I wanted to do. So by the time I got to streaming, I've already been managing teams of up to 25 people, multi-million-dollar budgets, worked on a lot of other projects around the world. I've done my time, and so I understand pretty much all of the aspects of negativity that come from it, as well as, having previously worked as an influencer in the travel space, had already kind of wrapped my head around all of this. So when I started streaming full time, I didn't have any of that emotional baggage that a lot of people bring into it, where they're getting affected by the negativity of the views or not enough people or going with the flow of people. The biggest thing that a lot of people get into is when they hear all these people telling them, yes, you're so amazing, you're so cool, and they let that go to their head. And then there's a good example of this. What is the actor? Is it David Harbour? The guy who plays the on Stranger Things. Anyway, he was talking about how he feels really sorry for the kids on that show on Stranger Things, because he was already an established adult. He was in his 40s before that show took off and catapulted him into superstardom. And he was just a normal actor for, a couple of decades, just like paying the bills but not becoming super successful. And they became sensations overnight. And he's like, that is going to mess up with their heads so bad when they're older, because they're going to go from this, I'm top of the world with this project, and then realize that the next 20 projects they do are never going to live up to that, and may never become bigger than that. And so every project, from that point is going to feel like a letdown, and that's going to emotionally affect and impact them as they grow up. And also in the case of some of them, if they continue to have very successful careers, that creates this bubble where they just have no sense of reality. I remember one time when I was living in Bulgaria, I went to a big meeting, a big like a wedding event, and it was at the top of a ski resort. It was a big dinner party, and we went, and it was like, I remember one of the people, this is the only thing I remember from that meeting was there was a guy there he was my age at the time. I was, late 20s. He was a couple years older than me, but he was like third generation son of a politician, and his like grandfather's name was on one of the money notes for the country. And his whole life had been private helicopters, private jets, the best schools in the world, Harvard, Oxford, and just private everything. And I remember being at the same table and like listening to the conversation that was going on, and I was like, these people are so out of touch with reality because they live in the bubble of private helicopters, private jets, private ski resorts, and everything else. It was just the level of just out of touchness that can happen. And so that I see where this is the thing too, where you get the streaming has a negative impact on certain people if they can't handle that.
It's like, why do you think all these streamers have all these mental problems and
Yes.
have all these issues? Well, obviously, there's got to be a reason for it. Like, why is it that, this one thing happens to this one group of people all of the time? I bet because it probably is causing it to happen. So it's just common sense. But anyway, the truth is that, like, people are always going to be disappointed. This is one of the things where weird people could be streamers until I followed Hollow Live. Yeah. It's like Quinn is on the verge of mental breakdown. Everybody always says that. People are chatting coping because my job is worse. No one cares about your job sucks. Doesn't mean other parts of other work can suck. Yeah, see, like, this guy's really kind of got it, right? I mean, like, and this is the problem that a lot of people like to do is, like, whenever you talk about something like this, they like to go and play the oppression Olympics. They're like, oh, well, you had
I haven't
to walk
watched this
3
part.
miles to school. Well, I had to do it in the snow.
Okay.
Oh, well,
Mine was harder.
you think you had it bad. Well, I had it worse. that doesn't make it any better. And also, by the way, keep in mind, you have the ability to have access to high-speed internet in probably a first or a second world country. You've got it pretty fucking good compared to a lot of other people that could tell you the exact same goddamn thing. So everybody who has their problems, those problems are real to that person. Now, it doesn't, like, her problems are real for sure. But at the same time, you're just never going to be able to convince people that streaming is a hard job, because people don't understand what you need to do in order to be successful as a streamer. And they haven't done it. Like, there's all the time people think that, like, you know, I'll give you a really good example that's like a lot different, but it's kind of the same thing. Do you know how you ever hear about how people criticize military spending or government spending because they'll spend like $26 on like one screw for like a military vehicle?
Where are you going with this? That's I need to know more.
Like you hear
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
like that being used as a,
I haven't
like,
listened
a
to this
method
part
of
yet.
criticism, like, oh well, you can see that they're wasting our money because they're paying this much for it, right? But what they don't understand, right, and what anybody who knows anything would understand, is that the things that they're using, the screws that they're using, are like reinforced with like 3 different types of material, and they're not like the screws that you go and buy
Home
at
Depot.
Home Depot.
Yeah.
This is a military grade screw that you could take this into space and it would be fine. And so a lot of people have no idea about that. They have no clue whatsoever. So for them, it's just the military wasting a bunch of money on screws. And so that's an example that I think that you can see how people's ignorance of a topic doesn't necessarily mean that what's happening is wrong. Yeah, denying military spending, blow to
That's an
shaky at best.
interesting
I'm not
way to
saying
look
that
at it.
we're spending enough money. We're not spending enough money on military. All I'm saying is that that point of reference is a bad point of reference. All I'm saying is that people usually use points of criticism for things that they don't fully understand.
That's a
And
valid
I
point.
think that with streaming, it's the same thing. With streaming, people are obviously going to criticize streaming and going to say, like, oh, it's super easy. And, like, in some cases it is, in some cases it's not. It's literally that simple. But, like, you have to understand, and, like, this is something that, like, I try to do as much as I can, and I think it's one of the most healthy things that you can do, which is to completely disconnect yourself from what your streaming presence is.
Yes.
Stop trying to be, like, stop trying to make people understand you.
Joe Rogan has said something to this effect as well, especially in regards to, like, never check the comments ever. Never read the comments on your YouTube videos is what he says. Now, I'm in the opposite camp because I'm still small enough that every view counts. So I'm more than happy to antagonize the trolls who leave stupid comments, because I will totally leave a passive aggressive comment to get them to come back and comment again and watch the video again and be on the page. And I'm in their face and they get to have me in their head all the time. And I live rent free in their space forever. It's awesome. So I'm happy to do that even with the trolls. But there will come a time when I get to the point where it's no longer worth it for me to spend my time trolling for views that way. But I still am not big enough for that to be the case. So I still have a lot of fun doing it. But I do so with the disconnect already engaged, because for me it's just clicks and views and money. So, like, I had somebody the other day who's like, I got under your skin, didn't you? And I literally responded back and I was like, oh, honey, you thought I got upset? No, darling, I'm coming back and getting paid no matter what. So I'm the one who gets to win in this scenario. You're nothing more than a little click on the slot machine. And I did it when I wrote that comment. I had the southern voice in my head and everything. I was like, "Oh, honey, you thought I was upset, baby. I'm getting paid to interact with you." I just literally, it's like, be a troll all you want in the comments. I still get paid. Like, I still win. Disassociate yourself from that streaming presence and the content creation aspect of it, because if you let the comments and the negativity get to you, it can have a mental impact on you. But you just got to be able to turn that around. For me, it's always just been looking at it as, like, I don't care if it's 2 cents or 3 cents or whatever. It's like every comment is algorithm juice. It's money in the bank. It's more people watching, more people clicking, more people commenting. Like, it all adds up. But you have to be able to disconnect yourself from it and be able to have fun with it without getting upset at people being just stupid.
Stop trying to make people, see the real you. Stop trying to put yourself into it and be like recognized for, people thinking that you're special. They're still not the greatest. How much I spend on them. I'm a hello mechanic. This stuff is still pretty shit. Oh, I'm sure it could be better. Absolutely. You're probably right about that. I'm just saying that it's not the same quality as that you get as a civilian. And people that are making a comparison are wrong. Like, we can get into the nuances, and I think that you'd probably be right about a lot of those. But I was just making a general comparison. You can go back and forth, but yeah, sure. When someone tells something that something's easy for them, and then everybody wants to jump on the train. I've always watched streamers, and I'm on my degen phase of the year gaming for months every time. Yeah. 100% of the screws on a tank are custom made under military specs. There's no parts of the tank that we bought at Home Depot. But yeah, what I'm saying, like, we talk about that, like, I don't want to talk about the screws on a tank anymore. Like, it's fucking annoying. I think you guys get the point. If you don't get the point,
that's your problem.
What I'm trying to get at here is that you're never going to get the stream.
What's up, Maurice?
To see the real you. They're never going to understand your problems. And the worst thing about it is that a lot of them will.
So there's also, I think Co Carnage spoke to this one time when I was watching one of his streams. He was talking about the dangers of the parasocial dynamic in streaming. He's like, you're not friends with these people. They're your viewers. He's like, you might be internet buddies with some of them. You might talk to them on a regular basis. You might meet up with them on a regular basis in terms of in-game, not in real life. But he's like, these are not your friends. They're not your family. They're internet people. They're internet buddies at most. He's like, the danger of a lot of people is when they let the parasocial dynamics get all twisted up, and that can cause issues in and of itself as well. It's when you've got 10,000 people watching your stream, you can't be. Someone said that. I actually was watching a TikTok video last night that was talking about. Somebody had said, so many people recommend like Tony Robbins because he'll change your life. And he says, I went to one of Tony Robbins' seminars, and he's like, when you're in an arena. When you're in the arena with 14,000 other people, it's really hard to feel like Tony Robbins is talking to you and helping you to solve your problems. That's just not therapy for me because it's not personal. And that's the, yes, Berserker. Internet friendship is not the same thing as real life friendship. I have many people that I consider to be really good internet friends, but I also recognize that they're not quite the same as real life friends. Like I couldn't show up on their doorsteps, and be like, hey man, I did this thing. I need to hunker down for a few months. No questions asked. Like, they're not that type of people. Like, there are friends, and then there are internet friends, and then there's family members. And so there's all these different tiers of that social dynamic. And that's a tricky thing to navigate. I'm not big enough that I have to worry about having thousands of people watch my streams, but I can't imagine what it's like for some of these guys who are having, pulling in 40, 50,000 people watching a stream. Like, that's just, you have to be able to just disconnect. I remember Dr. Disrespect talked about it one time. He actually got candid and did like a real interview, and was like, it's, you try to answer all the people who are giving super chats and donations and everything else, but at a certain point, you can't. When you've got, 5,000 people watching your stream, you can't interact with all those people personally, and you shouldn't even bother trying. Just recognize the highlights and move on about your day, because at that point, you're just a source of entertainment, and it's great that everybody's there, but you can't have those types of personal relationships with people because it's just not possible when you're doing it digitally. It's not the same thing as meeting up in person, and I know your kids' names and you know my kids' names, and our dogs go to the same park and our kids go to the same kindergarten, and we do workshops together, our wives hang out and do this, that, and the other. Like, it's not the same thing. It is not the same thing for sure.
A lot of people care, and you can have 90% of people in chat agreeing, but still have people get stressed out because the 10% of people don't. And that's what happens. Let's see what else with this. Oh yeah, sure. People really want to talk semantics. Oh yeah, everybody always likes to argue something that's not the point. But
especially if it makes them right. or
I
feel
think that
right.
the more that you view yourself as a product or an entity, the better that you can have a good relationship with streaming and not treat it like it's some form of like expression.
I have so much to say on this topic. So someone called me out the other day on TikTok and they said, "Why are you referring to yourself in the third person?" Because most of my TikTok videos are just longer versions of the YouTube shorts that I produce, and those YouTube shorts. You'll notice that I started doing this in 2023. I started to brand all of my videos are titled. All of my streams or videos are called Renfail Plays, Renfail Reacts to, Renfail's Thoughts on This. Um, let's chat with Renfail about this. I'm establishing the entity of, even though it is me personally, it's an establishment of an entity that is the brand. And I'm doing so to establish that this is a brand. Being in front of the camera is a brand. I'm not. Yes, I am a very. Someone said earlier, and I appreciate this comment, but I kind of skipped over it. Berserker said, "I for one love your persona." He said that earlier, and I appreciate that. So I'm generally the same person on stream that I am off stream for the most part. I may but there's definitely an aspect of performance art to this in terms of faking the smile even when you have a headache and your feet hurt and you're tired and you haven't had coffee and maybe you had like the hard thing was like after Sammy our cat got run over and I still was on stream like despite being emotionally just completely wrecked. Chris is over in the other room crying every day for like 15 days straight because her poor little baby kitten got run over. Like it was her first cat, and that was not easy to do. There is a level of performance art that goes into establishing the brand. The brand is separate from the personal, and the show must go on. So there are things like when I'm out here and I'm hanging out with my niece and Chris and I think my sister's coming over. My sister-in-law's coming over today or tomorrow. Like those are different relationships and different conversations and different realities, and it's completely different than what I portray here. Because this is the conversational side and the presentation side and growing up with stagecraft and everything else and my public speaking career like that comes into play here more than anything else I will do. I might go sit out in the chair and just, sit there and let everybody talk for 45 minutes and I'm just sitting there in silence because I do enough of this where I'm talking to people all day long. Sometimes it's nice to just sit back and recharge those social batteries.
I think the process of that is very unhealthy. And everybody's laughing and shitting on her, right? Streamers remember they have to play video games part-time for 10 times their normal salary anyone else their age makes.
I did make this point,
She should probably stream more. She probably thinks a 40-hour work week is excessive. And so yeah, a lot of people, clicks men irrelevant, don't care. I don't even know who she is, to be honest. Has to be trolling.
In my community to stop nagging me about it 24/7. Yeah, this morning I didn't get on at 9. I'm sorry, I got on at 10. Okay.
Someone's like
I
womp
want them
womp.
to speak up. That's not their problem. And to be quite frank, it's not yours either.
Everybody
community is stop nagging.
So you get too emotional about this shit.
Yep.
You're never gonna come out of it on top.
Yep. You
There's
cannot be
never gonna
emotional
a
about it.
point Where you will I hope that she understands that there will never be a point where expressing her this way will ever lead to a positive outcome. There will never be a light at the end of the tunnel. People will never understand you. People will never finally see what you're saying. People will never look at it from your perspective.
Mindy just said something really. I want to trigger off of this. This is a great discussion point. She says, as a content consumer, sometimes that in real life versus internet friends line gets really fuzzy and blurred when more time is spent online to being out in the real world. This was nowhere more prevalent. What was the movie we just watched? Oh man, it just came out a couple months back. It was produced by Barack Obama and his wife. It was an apocalyptic movie where the U.S. gets hit by a cyber attack, and one of the recurring themes in that film was the 8-year-old daughter, 10-year-old daughter, or whoever. She was obsessed with the final episode of Friends. because she was watching Friends. She'd gotten all the way up to the final episode. Then all the internet went out, and this whole time that everyone's dealing with this apocalyptic, we gotta, we gotta do these things to survive, or our whole family's gonna die, and there's nuclear bombs going off and everything else. And this little 10-year-old kid, or however she old was just obsessed with the fact that she couldn't finish watching the final episode of Friends. And I think there's even a line of dialogue in the film where she's talking to her brother, I think, where she's like, I feel more connected to these characters on a TV show. So she's literally, feeling more connection with the people on a TV show than the people in her real life, because she was spending more time online than in the real world interacting with other people. So the problems of her immediate family, oh my God, we're going to die, apocalypse, we got to find food, shelter, dugout, bunker, something. And she's just like, where's my internet? I need to watch the final episode of Friends because I need to know what happens to these characters. Like that is a legit thing that has become part of the social construct that we have now in the modern era, where we have kids who have grown up, who have spent their entire lives. I'm the last generation. I'm 44. I'm the last generation that grew up without internet. Think about that for a minute. My generation grew up without internet. I didn't have internet at home until I was as a teenager. And at the time, it was fucking dial-up, So it was like we had AOL, and my dad used it for work and for emails and stuff. Like the idea of the internet didn't even become a thing until I was in my, late teens, early 20s, having reliable home internet connections and the power of what the internet has allowed the world to become. Like I grew up without cell phones, without internet. These new generations who have never done that, they can't fathom. Even in the poorest parts of the world, people have cell phones and internet service and Wi-Fi towers, and it's like Chris and I were discussing this the other day. Our nieces, as examples, like don't like they just the world outside of that internet bubble is very difficult for them to understand, and they're just not growing up knowing how to deal with a lot of real world scenarios because they've lived their whole lives in front of screens as opposed to interacting with people other than school interactions, but that's a little different. What's up, Dennis? So that's a very interesting point. Yeah, some people feel, the lines do get fuzzy. They can't distinguish between real life friendships and the people that are watching streams. Gateway dude, my first PC that I bought for myself, Neil, was a Gateway. Because my dad was, because I grew up on a dairy farm, so my dad was like, it's the same color as our cows. That's so cool. They're an independent company. So my dad had always bought Gateways. So when I bought my first PC, it was when EverQuest came out. So it was 1999 was when I bought my first PC, and I bought a Gateway, and it was way too much fucking money. But yeah, totally. Back then, that was a long time ago.
And every moment that you spend trying to hope and convince and pray that people will see it the way that you want them to is a moment that you're going to be unhappy. And it's never gonna change. Then why do people write and do public speaking? What's the point of trying to change the world? You don't always want to change the world. You don't need to change the world. You're not gonna change the world. You're just streaming a video game. Shut the fuck up.
That's a fair point.
Self-aggrandizement.
It's a fair point. You're just streaming a video game. Get out of here.
You can do what you want to do, but you have to acknowledge the futility in it. If you don't, you're living in a delusion. But yeah, anyway, guys, thank you all very much for watching. I appreciate it. Peace. See ya.
I just thought, guys, I don't watch a ton of Asmongold, but
So-
occasionally I think he has some interesting things to say. And since we were coming off of the Warcraft stream this morning, I had this benchmarked as a topic that I wanted to cover in greater detail. Because there was a lot of kernels of good truth in there about what it takes to be, it's mostly about being a streamer, but I think it applies to what I do as well, because I'm primarily a content creator as opposed to being a streamer. But it's just some of the realities of just being in the public spotlight and in that space. I thankfully, I think I do have the benefit of coming into this rather late in life. So I I think there's an entitlement issue with some people too, where they're like, they just think they deserve it. They deserve to be famous. They deserve to have all these clicks and views. I remember the last startup I was working for was a media company, and they were in the travel space, and there was they did a big series around teen mental health issues related to social media, especially when it came to like, looking at other people traveling the world and, look at my bikini while I'm on the beach in this place. And it's this constant, you're trying to, the people who like rent out a fake, um, they rent out the stage version of a private jet so they can go in and do a bunch of photo shoots like they're on a private jet, even though they're not on a private jet. They're just on a set somewhere that they paid the money to be on. Um, so it's there's some craziness that happens with kids who get too wrapped up in it. What's up, Goose in a Pulse? Don't worry about it. No worries. It's all good. Um, it's a big thing. I know my brother's kids are young and they don't really get any social media time at all. They do get screen time because they have apps and games and stuff, but no social media. Whereas my nieces here, who are the two nieces who are, one of them's 18, the other one's 20. They're quite a bit older than my niece and nephew in the U.S. They've been on social media their whole lives, but we have to get on to our niece. She's going to be staying with us and going to school, going to university, and she is getting better about it because she's realizing that she has to, you know, stop being glued to the screen all the time and actually start, paying bills, and life is going to be hard. Like, oh crap, I better start waking up a little bit. But she's had times where she comes over here and she's here for 3 days and all she wants to do is just lay on the bed and literally live in the phone. And it's like Chris has to drag her out and be like, nope, we're going and cleaning the chicken coop. We're going to the grocery store. We're going to cook pancakes. We're going to do this, that, or the other. Um, we're going to do things, let's do TikTok tonight when it's 7 o'clock at night. We got nothing else to do. Dennis says content creation these days is too much on the numbers and not about real content, in my opinion. Yes, I can say that to some small degree. So, um, I talk about the numbers a lot in the member videos that I do for our channel members on YouTube, right? So if you're watching from Twitch, you might not have a frame of reference this morning because we are multi-streaming and I'm talking about this in both places. But I've talked about this in the numbers. I publish so much on YouTube. Like every day, it's 5 to 7 videos plus shorts plus a stream. It totals up to a lot. I've had days where I've done like, I think there's been a few days where I've done 18 pieces of content. I think there was one day I did 30. I did 30 pieces of content in a single day one time, but that was a big day where I just had all day and all I did was I was prepping for the next 3 weeks. So I just threw a bunch of content up on, I made a bunch of videos and I scheduled them out for like the next 2 weeks. So I did like 30 videos in a day. But here's the interesting thing about this conversation. People focus too much on the numbers and not about real content. So one of the discussions that we've had with people has been, because I produce so much content, they like to look at the number of views that a video has as whether or not that video is worth watching. It only has 200 views, I'm not going to watch it. Whereas if it has 20,000 views, they're more likely to watch it. The average person who's just flicking through YouTube. But that number isn't an actually reliable number about whether or not that piece of content is worth consuming or not, because you don't know if the video was just published, if you're not looking at that data as well. And there's short-term and long-term traffic. So I might produce a video that's slow on the uptake. Like I might produce a video that only gets 50 views in its first hour. It totally happens from time to time. But then over the next 30 days, it gets 3,000 views, right? But it takes 5 days before the algorithm picks it up and starts promoting it out. So for the first week it's out there, it only gets 50 to 100 views. And people look at that and they're like, oh, that's a piece of shit content. I'm not going to watch it. But then the algorithm starts promoting out. People start watching it because it shows up on their For You page or whatever in their recommendations. And by the end of the month, it's got 3,000 to 5,000 views. There are lots of videos that do that kind of stuff. And the problem is too many people fixate on the numbers. So somebody made a direct comparison between myself and another content creator. And they were like, but their videos are getting 15,000 views. And I'm like, yes, because they're only doing one video every 5 to 7 days. Okay, so they're doing a video every 5 to 7 days. Take that 15,000 views and divide it out by 7 days. That's how much traffic that person's getting per day. Plus there's lots of apps you can use that show this. I'm producing, let's say on average, 7 pieces of content per day. And if you look at my numbers, I'm getting 5 times more traffic than that person, but my views are spread out across many different videos and many different topics. So it is about the numbers, but it shouldn't be. People should be more interested in the content that is being created, but way too many people don't. They just look at the numbers and when it was published and they go, oh, well, that only has 150 views and it's been out for 7 days. I'm not going to watch it. If it's been out for 3 months and it only has 150 views, you probably have a valid point. But the algorithm does weird things, even with content that's been out for a week. So generally speaking, I try not to be too worried about the numbers on any given piece of content until it's been out for at least a week. If it's still doing shitty by the end of the week, then I know that was probably a dud topic and not to cover that again. But you never know until you throw something out as to whether or not it's actually going to stick with the audience or not. Berserker says, I think in base principle, you're right. Someone who has went to a low-paying position and gets yelled at by their boss for some mistake are probably not going to care about trolls nagging them. Nope, you're not. I've told horror stories elsewhere about having to work for my old man for many, many years and working in construction for my dad and my uncles and my grandpa. I was physically beat, had rocks thrown at me. My grandpa kicked me in the head, an ex-Marine guy from, grew up in the 40s. Like, I have worked for some shitty, shitty, shitty people in my life in construction. I will never, ever, 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 no troll will ever be able to get under my skin on social media ever. Like it's just I've been through, life, buddy. Good luck with that. And the biggest kick for me too is just like I get paid anyway, so I'm happy to have the trolls be trolly. Anyway, I thought this was a great conversation from Asmongold. It's not very often that I think I've only ever picked apart like one or two of his other videos in the course of like 4 years or something. But this one actually resonated with me because I felt that there were some really good points to be made about real talk on streaming. I think last year we did a dissection of why am I blanking? He's the British guy who always wears the nice jacket and suit and he has the mug. Why am I blanking on his name? He does voice actors. He's big in the Baldur's Gate 3 and some other stuff. Josh Drive Hayes. I took me a minute to remember his name. Josh Drive Hayes did a video, I want to say either last year or the year before, on what it takes to be a content creator in the MMORPG space. And it was a really huge video he did. He had interviews with like 15 or 20 content creators, including Zach, and just talking about what it takes to get to that point. And I think it's interesting. Yeah, that you got me, Berserker. The delay in chat, I probably already figured it out by the time you typed it, but thank you. The reality of any of this is it's just grind. It's just if you're capable of dealing with whatever the financial situation is while you're doing it, that's all that matters. It's no different than like I think it was Piers Anthony who said this years and years and years ago. Every author was a not so successful person at some point in their life and probably had a spouse or a significant other that was paying the bills while they became a full-time writer. It's like there's everybody's got financial differences. And I said this earlier in this discussion was you either need to have like enough money squared away that you can give yourself like 3 years of runway to try to make it, or you need like a significant other who can support you, or have a day job and you just work it as a side hustle for a long time. I don't have huge numbers, but I would consider the fact that I'm finishing my second year full time and we're still seeing good growth as proof positive that I'm at least successful enough at it to be able to have a voice in the conversation. We'll see where it goes in the next year or two. We have big plans, and it's an interesting thing to see it continue to evolve. We also know we have no idea. Is YouTube going to be around for the next 5 years? I have no idea. Is Twitch going to be around for the next 5 years? I don't know. Is TikTok going to be around in 5 years? Nobody fucking knows. Like, nobody knows what's going to happen 6 months from now, let alone 5 years from now. So he made a comment in the video about survivors. Like, who are you going to trust? Like, somebody who just has an opinion on the topic or somebody who's actually survived and made it. And I actually used a similar line of thinking. I was having a discussion with my brother. I have a younger brother who I work with a lot. He's 13 years younger than me. And I was giving him some elderly brother advice the other day, about a week ago. And I remember I started off and I said, look, man, coming from your older brother to you, and I literally said, I've survived until my 40s. I never finished high school. I never went to college, and I've made it to my mid 40s and I've done all the things that I wanted to do. I would like to consider myself the voice of survival, if not the voice of wisdom. And if there are a few things I can give you advice on, here's a couple of things, because I've done a lot. I've seen a lot. I've had sex with a lot of beautiful women. I've traveled the world. I've done great things. It's been a good life. I've gone to great parties, seen great concerts, climbed mountains, gone to cool places, traveled in all sorts of different airplanes, been wined and dined. And you get to some point where it's like it all just kind of it's life. It's life experience, man. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day as long as you're doing something that you're having fun with. So I'm having fun with video games. So at the end of the day, anyone who tries to be trolly or criticize, I'm just like, if I can play a meme here. What you gonna say, bitch? Like, I'm gonna ride by in my Harley and just be like, that's how I feel about it sometimes. All right, I have not had a shower, everybody. I came in from my walk with Chris this morning, and we're 2.5 hours in, and I have rambled way too much for the last 40 minutes. So thanks for listening. This part will get clipped out for a whole nother video. So if you have more thoughts on this subject over the next few days, I'm going to be pulling this out and putting this up probably for today's Friday. I think today's Friday. It's Thursday. Today's Friday. This will probably come out on Sunday or Monday. I'll have this cut out just as a video all on its own for YouTube. So if you want to have a greater conversation about it and you've got additional thoughts after we wrap this up, feel free to drop those on this video as it goes out. So if you're watching this after the fact, those go down there. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, everybody. I'll be back again tomorrow morning. Tomorrow's Saturday, and it is we're doing the Tauren characters tomorrow morning, World of Warcraft, and then we have our next raid tomorrow night, continuing Avarice in Dragonflight. We had a whole bunch of new people join the guild in World of Warcraft this week, so it's been pretty cool week for expansions. And we got lots of fun stuff coming to the pipeline, so stay tuned to all the things. If you're on Twitch, thanks to Luciferat for a subscription today. You can always do bits, tiers, and subs to support on Twitch. And if you're on YouTube, it's Super Chats and memberships. And if you're a member, check out the member videos on YouTube. Yeah, good to see you here, Mindy. Thanks, everybody else, for hanging out. Dennis, thank you. Have a good day as well. See you, Berserker, everybody else. Talk